Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. So, this time, as you may have seen at the beginning there, I wanted to talk about something that I got just a couple of weeks ago and have since read, which is the 1988 Plastic Man miniseries. Of course, this was a series that was basically a reboot for the character after post-crisis, as they were doing a lot of rebooting at the time. Okay, this is Plastic Man 4-issue miniseries, 1988 from DC Comics, written by Foglio, with pencils by Hilary Barta, with inks by John Nyberg, and with an assist by Doug Rice. So just a few, one or two pages per issue were done by Doug Rice. Plastic Man, for those who may not be familiar, is a superhero character who premiered in Police Comics #1 in 1941. And that was from Quality Comics, created by writer and cartoonist Jack Cole. And he was one of the first superheroes which blended humor with action-adventure storytelling. And DC Comics picked him up, as well as other characters from when Quality ceased publication in 1956. And that included like Blackhawk. He's had several solo series and animated TV shows. The miniseries, as I said, was a post-crisis reboot of the character. Now, our primary artist, Hilary Barta, he was born in 1957. He's just a little bit older than me. He's an American writer-artist for comics. He started in comics as an inker for Marvel in 1982. Later doing work for a variety of independent publishers. He has a humorous stylization to his own pencils, and started doing What The at Marvel, and then Plastic Man at DC. And that was it. And that was in '88. And in the early 2000s, he started doing a lot of humor work at Bongo, which on The Simpsons. So all those Simpsons publications. He did a lot of work there for him. And then before returning to various inking duties. So he is primarily known as an inker. But he is, as you see here, he is a quite capable penciler. But it seems that his natural style is more of a humorous, cartoonish stylization. So we'll see about that. Take a look. So, let us take a look inside the pages of Plastic Man. Okay, there's Plastic Man. But before we get into looking at that, I want to remind you my two books are available. $7.99 each. It's a Bizarre Brain Comics anthology, which is humor with a bit of adventure, and Bizarre Brain Comics presents Heroes, which is mostly superhero type with a couple of horror stories, and the like. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble bookstore, online bookstore, other online outlets. Christmas is coming. If you don't have yours, you might be interested in putting one or both of these on your Christmas list. And I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, And I also wanted to give a shout out to another comic channel that I like to YouTube channel that I like to watch is Raph's Retro Comics. That's Raph, R-A-P-H. Not not like I accidentally originally wrote Ralph. Raph's Retro Comics. He talks about comics, mostly older comics like me, and gives some of the history, like me. Now, as I said, these were written by Hilary, Phil Foglio, and if you're not familiar with Phil Foglio, he is he is best known for his work on with Robert Asprin on the Myth Adventures, both comics and the paperback books. Because I'm not sure which came first, the comic or the book, but is a humorous fantasy. And I have enjoyed them both. But he's done various other art duties, as well as a writer. He's just a few years after this Plastic Man miniseries, he wrote the Angel and the Ape miniseries in the 90s, which I also covered here, but not as complete as this. So I'm not going to go deeply into these. Now, issue 1, of course, is a reboot. Some nice artwork, and you see Plastic Man is just kind of hard to take that character seriously. That's why Plastic Man is not a serious character. Elongated Man is more serious, but still slightly on the humor side. The only one of these stretchy characters that is totally serious is Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. It's a big first issue. You will believe a man can fly, and that gives you. And of course, Plastic Man has his sidekick, Woozy Winks. Now, I recently read a trade paperback version reprinting another more recent Plastic Man reboot series, and I enjoyed this one better than that one. Although the art and the writing both were great. And that was done both artistically and in the writing more serious, but still maintained some of the humor. This pushes farther to the humor, and in more recent years it hasn't been quite as like when Plastic Man is in the Justice League and stuff. He is a humorous character, more like comic relief. Okay, and it starts here, and this first page of art is much more serious. This was inked by Doug Rice, and the rest of it, with a little bit of exceptions, is done by Nyberg. And it looks more serious. It's in a chemical plant. Some guys robbing the place. They get found out, and they run away. And in the process, one of the crooks, Eel O'Brien, who is a crook and robber, and has gotten. I think he's the one who cracked the safe. He takes a bullet, and a vat of some unspecified, unknown, probably non-existent type of chemical acid spills on him and gets into the wound. So here we say, oh, he's blacking out, loss of blood. And it's done very seriously. Then, when he wakes up, everything looks more humorous. As this is the John Nyberg, and Hilary Barta was pushing more for realism in that. There, here he is. Oh, and he's trying to. This is when his pliability starts showing up, and he doesn't know what's going on, and he's can't find his buddies. He thinks he's been abandoned. All kinds of a lot of sight gags. People calling him a monster, what have you. The cop trying to get him because they think he's a monster. He runs off, get run over and isn't hurt. Smashes the police car. The whole thing runs. Finds his buddies. They think he's a monster and starts shooting at him, and they take off. The army is called in because they think he's a monster. And it's funny. He eventually has to flush himself to get away, but he comes out in the sewers. He goes to a bar, starts drinking, and he just kind of melts away here. All kinds of little humor. He's so dejected that they kick him out because they think he's a monster, and till this gorgeous lady of the evening steps over him. He looks up her skirt, and hallelujah, I'm born again. And she gives him a big old kiss, and he just melts away. She screams and runs off as a monster. He decides he's going to end it all. He's on a bridge, going to do away with himself. This is when he meets Woozy Winks, who becomes his partner and sidekick. Goes to jump off the bridge, and Woozy kind of pulls him back. He wouldn't have killed him anyway, but then we get Woozy's backstory. He was in Arkham Asylum. He was a nutcase, and they booted him out. This is in a reference to because of Reaganomics, because back in the 80s, Ronald Reagan stopped a lot of funds going for mental health care, and a lot of people were cast out of the mental hospitals, and really was instrumental in creating the huge homeless crisis we still have today. So Woozy is a homeless former mental patient, and he's learning. Plaza's O'Brien is learning his powers. He doesn't know. He changing all kinds of little side gigs, turning into things, even an imitation of Woozy himself. And they decide we can become partners. We can do something. Now, what will we be? Will we be criminals, or will we be superheroes? But I need a costume because I'm too well known. And they steal stuff from the Salvation Army. Go back to where he got the stuff spilled on him and in him, and sticks various clothing into the acid, and most of it just disintegrates. But there's one circus outfit that becomes pliable like him. He puts the suit on, and then they flip a coin to decide what they're going to do. Going to be good guys. And his partners O'Brien's partners were planning a bank job for that night. So he goes and he humorously foils along with Woozy Winks. Woozy does a good job. Foils the robbery. Plaz and Woozy capture him and saves the day. Now, what are they going to do? Yeah, because they think he's a monster. And in the process, Plastic Man discovers that he is bulletproof when they shoot the crap out of him. Okay, so that's issue 1. I'm not gonna that is the reboot of the character. Then in issue 2, again, Doug Rice, more serious look on the first page and the second page, and then when everything focuses on Plaz and Woozy, everything's more cartoonish. And this is the Ooze brothers. They come across trying to get a job as security people at a bank. Won't have it. Then as they're leaving, someone comes in to rob the bank. He tries to stop them. And it's the Ooze brothers, who are just oozy. That's all I can say. They're ooze, and they get away. And in the process, they do stop them getting away with the money. They follow them, and lots of little gags. But you see, it's an actual serious event. But gags, sight gags, verbal gags, and then here is a little inside joke. And they disguise themselves as cops and go in to find out more about who these guys are. And here, going past the desk sergeant in the police station. And who is the desk sergeant? That is Phil Foglio. I met him once, and that's what he looks like. And they find out about the Ooze brothers. They track them back to someplace that had garbage trash yard, garbage yard, wrecking yard, what have you, that has a lot of chemical pollution there, and they have been mutated into these oozy guys. But Plaz managed, with the able assistance of Woozy, do manage to stop them, catch them, and they, instead of going to prison, they wind up being sentenced. We'll get to it here. Sentenced to the Geek Trio and circus sideshow, and they just love it. And Plaz and Woozy gets a reward for saving the money. Then in 3, they decide they're going to become private dicks. It starts off with private investigators, detectives. Starts off with Woozy having an heroic dream about himself, and a running gag all through here is that for some reason when the reporters were trying to come up with a name for Plastic Man, they started calling him the pencil-necked geek, even though he was going by Plastic Man. But they got themselves a crappy little office to set up housekeeping and business, and Woozy has to take the money to the bank, etc., etc., and he gets drawn into a cult. Plastic Man is concerned when he doesn't show up, finds out he never made it to the bank, and he spots Woozy on a bus heading to California to join this cult. And so Plastic Man, here, a more serious look from Doug Rice, inked page, as the very realistic Greyhound bus pulls into the bus terminal in L.A. All the people look more real, and then, boom, more funny looking when it goes back to focusing on Woozy and Plastic Man, and gives the money over. It turns out this, of course, it's a scam, and this is and involves Arian, the the magician from Atlantis, but a very, very ancient version of him, because he's still alive today. Because Atlantis is the central part of this cult. Lots of goofy stuff going on. The cultists turn on him when Plaz tries to stop them, and turns out that they're having a big dance thing for the cult right on San Andreas Fault, planning to cause an earthquake, which it does start. Plaz manages to nip it in the bud with Arian's able assistance, stops it, and saves California from falling off into the sea, because the guy who is the cult leader hates California. Then they will start heading back to New York. Then the 4th and final issue. Oh, and I'm taking way too long. So it's not an Invasion Aftermath extra, because at that time there had been a crossover miniseries and of most of the DC titles of Invasion. That storyline crossing all over when fighting an alien invasion. And then they had Invasion Aftermath specials. And so this is not one. And fabulous 4th and final issue. And it's Bagatelle. Just get back to New York on the bus, find out that New York is just overrun with homeless people. That's just odd. And have the mayor of New York wanting to hire them to try to find out what's going on with the homeless people. Mayor is snatched by a robot right out of Plaz's office. They take off, follow him. Hazard, adventures, stuff going on, funny and adventurous. Woozy talks to the people, and then it turns out all the there's a voice appearing to all the homeless people, and they're congregating in Central Park when a spaceship lands. And and it turns out it's aliens from some Oogle, whatever, alien federation, who have have run out of homeless and unemployed people in their federation, and to avoid having their budget cut, they need more more people to help. So they're going to take the entire Manhattan Island off with all the homeless people. And plastic, of course, all this bad stuff that would happen to Earth is ignored. Plastic Man and Woozy, with the assistance, unintentional assistance of all the homeless people, do prevent Manhattan from taking off. It crashes down into its spot, except it's reversed. And then they stop them, and the alien ship has been ransacked by the homeless people, and now the aliens are stuck there on Earth trying to get back the parts of their spaceship. Superman shows up. This is when they find out that it's Manhattan is reversed, and Superman and the JLA will take care of that. And then we get back to another Doug Rice inked page, and it has some of the creators making a cameo here in the very last panel in a bar. So, and that is a very brief overview of the entire Plastic Man 1988 miniseries, and I really enjoyed that. You know, and I have never been a big Plastic Man fan, but I really enjoyed it. And I remember when this is out, I may have, at the time, I don't remember, read one or two of the issues. I don't remember. But I really enjoyed reading this. And as much as I did like that newer version that I read, I think I enjoyed this one better. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. What do you think of Plastic Man? And all the creators, what iteration of Plastic Man do you like? Do you remember seeing any of the animated show back in the late 70s, early 80s? Any of that, let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.